You're listening to Zack, founder of WorkingJoesRoundtable.com, and this is the Working Joes Podcast. Welcome back, everybody. This is Zack, and you're listening to the Working Joes Podcast. We have a good show for you today. We have part 2 with Mr. Ralph Wolf. He's going to talk to us a little bit more. I'll tell you the truth, it's been a while since I looked at the sheet, so I don't know what we're talking about today. I think we get into a whole bunch of different subjects. If you hear anything in the background, you can thank my local power company, Duke Progress, and their subcontractors, because they're chopping up my trees in the front yard to protect the power lines. I feel bad for these trees. I have 2 trees in the front yard now that look utterly ridiculous. I looked outside and just looked at them, and they looked at me as if to say, just put me out of my misery. Just cut them off at the roots. So they're chopping up my front yard in the name of power line safety, which is necessity, but unfortunate for my trees. I'm sitting here, it's about 10 o'clock a.m. on the 10th of May. I should be working, but I actually slept late. It's one of the benefits of running your own business. I went back and took my kids to school, and I came back, and I pulled in, and I came inside, and I said, man, I'll go lay down for a second. And that second became about an hour and 45 minutes of sleep. I didn't get enough sleep last night anyway, so I guess it bridged the gap from where I was to where I needed to be. So that's a good thing. Today I do have a service call. In a little while I'll be heading out to take a look at a unit about 15 miles south of me. I'm not sure what the deal is. The gist of what I understood was that the variable speed motor is bad in this unit. What the gentleman is being told is that since his variable speed motor is bad, he needs to change out the unit because they no longer make the replacement. Anyone who watches my videos know that if a variable speed motor goes bad, Zack has a replacement on the truck. It is a PSC motor. It is just a retrofit situation. And I told him if that was the case, that could be remedied. But you know what? You never know what you're going to get into with some of these guys. You know, you go in there and they say, well, the motor's bad. The thing will be half rusted apart because it's an older system. They said it's about 18 years old. It's in the crawl, so it's bound not to look good. It's bound to look pretty rough. So I'll give you guys an update on what that's all about. Unfortunately, my second bit of news is the fact that I don't think I'm going to win this inverter race with John Israel because I haven't heard back from my customer since I told him that I wouldn't bring the price down at all. He came back to me and asked and said, will you lower your price because another company came in, they were cheaper, and I just said, no thanks. I said I'll do a good job, but that's pretty much where I have to be. And that's the last time I heard from him, and it's been over 24 hours, which usually indicates that I will never see him again. So we shall see. Every now and then I get a surprise that a job lingers, and then the guy calls me and says, you know what, I want you to do it because you're wonderful, or something like that. I had a job that actually, I quoted it a year prior, and the people called me back and said, yeah, we're ready to do the job. And I said, well, I need to requote it now, obviously, but it was kind of neat. It was such a big lag time between going out there initially and getting the job. It was just kind of strange, but it does happen. But nowadays, whenever I do a job, I make sure I price it right. I'm not undercutting myself, which was the big problem back in those days. Even the day when I did that job I'm telling the story about, that was back in 2011. That was a York system install, split system, with all the new ductwork in the house. And I would barely do a change out now for what I did that whole job for. And think of all the stuff that goes into that. Cutting holes in the ceilings, putting in new grill boxes, putting in new boots, running all new ductwork, running a line set down the house, putting slim duct over the line set or some sort of line hide. There really is a lot that goes into it. And I ended up not getting that much out of it. At the time, I thought it was great. You know, it's like, ooh, I made $1,500. You know, not really. Your company made $1,500. You don't even count your labor. I wasn't even thinking about that at the time. A part of that's labor, you know, part of it's insurance, part of it goes into 100 different locations. Currently, I'm trying to get new insurance, workman's compensation insurance. And I'm going through all this stuff, all these quotes and everything like that. And even for someone like me, who before I would have like a ghost policy, which is a policy they write which doesn't cover anything, just satisfies contractors' need for you to have workman's comp. But now I want to actually be covered because if I fall down and smack my head on the ground, I want to be covered for it and not have to, you know, suffer with my ghost policy. So I've been to Nationwide Insurance. I've been to Bullard Insurance. I've been to different nationwide, actually, different offices, and they're still quoting me insurance, but it's a frustration because you're talking about paying thousands and thousands of dollars a year to insure yourself, and you have customers that will come up to you. Let's say you go in and get your quote for insurance, and it's thousands of dollars. It could be $3,000-$4,000 a year, and later that day you have to hear customers say, "I think your price is too high." You might be wanting to put that customer into a power bomb or something like that. That's one of the things that people don't understand about people in business. There's all these hidden costs that they don't get to see, that they just kind of take for granted that you're going to do stuff for free almost. Sort of the frustration that we go through as business owners. I hear a lot of people talking about business, but until you own the business for a certain amount of time, it's almost like you want to turn to them and go, "No, you don't count." It's like Bill Cosby talking about having children. He said if you only have one child, you don't even count because you don't get to get into the "stop touching me, stop touching me, stop touching me." You don't get all that sort of stuff, which absolutely happens. As a father of 3 children who have now entered the middle stage of their childhood, 10 years, my twins, and 13 years, my older son, he's touching me. He said I was stupid, and you got to go through that all the time. Trials and tribulations of the father/HVAC company owner. But we're not here for all that stuff today. We're not here to listen to me drudge on in therapy. We're here to listen to what Ralph has to say in part 2 of the interview. So without further ado, let's get into that, and let's see what we get into this time on the Working Joe's podcast. We're going to be talking to Ralph Wolf about retrofit refrigerants and his changing opinions.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't you lead us off with how has your opinion changed? Because we all know what your opinion was before. They're all bad.
Oh, yeah, I was not going to use them.
Right.
Well, as the dollar amount of the drum of refrigerant goes up, my ideas change. Just like the April Air zoning we were talking about.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, I have converted quite a few units in the past couple months from R22 to 407C, and I tried using another one, but I really wasn't happy with it. Not because there was anything wrong with it, but just because it wasn't on my testos.
Right, the refrigerant. So you weren't able to select it for charging.
I was not able to select it, so I had to get the pressure to the TMP chart out and do all that manually. And it reminded me of why I love my digital gauges.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, I don't care. I don't care if you're brand new in the field or been in the field 50 years. You need a set of digital gauges. I don't care. I don't care. You know what? I don't care if a new guy in the field doesn't know how to add and subtract all that stuff.
That's pretty bad, though. Add and subtract?
Well,
I know what you're saying. He doesn't know about his saturation points and stuff like that.
He doesn't. Yeah, there's no reason he really needs to know how to do that. Well, I can't say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either.
Because I had to do it the other day.
Yeah. He needs to know how to do it. You want to own the gauges. That's a good thing. I mean, like your Testo 550s, that's a good set of gauges. Now, I mean, would you still recommend them after your latest pair? I mean, the Chinese version, any difference at all?
No, I would still recommend them. I wouldn't buy the smart probes.
Well, why wouldn't you buy the smart probes?
Honestly, what's the point? What's the point?
You're saying because the distance is poor?
The distance is poor. I mean, really, what's the point in having them? I mean, I have my smart tool, and I like my smart tool, but majority of the time, I'm using my Testo 550s.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, is it the novelty wore off of all this stuff? It came out, everybody's like, hey, this is the greatest.
Hey, that's the coolest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
But no, I just use my 550s now. Most majority of the time, that's what I use.
Yeah.
Yes, and they're made in China, and blah, 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 blah. But it's, to me, I don't want to hands because my days of playing with the Tonka truck is long gone.
Well, half the tools are made in China now. I was telling
I,
Ralph that
everything.
Southwire's working with us. I got a Southwire shirt on right now. Look
Yeah,
there, and they're made in China. I mean,
yeah.
half the meters are made in China.
Everything's made in China. I mean, our motors are made in China that we use.
Right.
Unless it's a aftermarket. Um, you know, you can't get away from it. My iPhone that I have is made in China.
Right.
But I think the thing with me and Testo was that everybody assumed that they were made in Germany, and to me it was kind of like, well, they were trying to get over on everybody.
Yeah.
Even though they were putting out a $200 and something tool. We all thought that tool was coming from someplace that really wasn't.
Yeah, and Testo just didn't tell.
It's like going to a bar and picking up a hot chick and finding out in the morning she's standing up to pee.
Finding out in the morning. Well, I hope you found out before the morning. You should take Crocodile Dundee with you next time.
Yeah. So that was one of the deal. It was just like all this time you led us to believe one thing. If you would have told us in the very beginning, well, hey, these things, it's not even on the box anywhere that they're made in China.
Doesn't it have to be on the box though? I thought it was regulation. You had to.
Apparently not. No, if you go look at the box, you're not going to find it's made in China on the box.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the supply house, I couldn't find them anywhere on there. So.
But is it all in our heads though? I mean, is it really bad though? Is it all in our heads, or is it actually an inferior product?
Well, I don't know. When it catch on fire or leak or
there was
whatever,
a couple
I guess
of them. Yeah, there was a couple.
Yeah. I don't know if they fixed it or not, but
I haven't heard about that in a while. So supposedly,
a guy was at the supply house. A guy coming out of school was at the supply house, and he was looking to buy a set of those smart probes. And I was trying to talk him out of it. Dude, just buy a set of 550s. Yeah. Oh, I'm just, I'm a gadget guy. I said, I get it, but, you have the 550s. Everything's right there. Your hose is already connected. You don't have to do any of this other stuff.
You got your Bluetooth too now. So, I mean.
Yeah. But I just put the app on my phone the other day.
Right.
Looking for that refrigerant. I didn't even think about when I was on the job putting the app on my phone so I can connect it to the 550s so I could see if the refrigerant was on the app.
Right. Well, you never said what refrigerant it was.
453A.
Now, that's not the number people know though, right?
It's RS44B.
RS44B.
Let me tell you,
hot off the presses.
Yep. And let me tell you about this refrigerant. It is supposed to be the closest to R22 as you can get. And actually, 407C is close. It's about 10 pounds off. And that RS44B is like 9 pounds off. So a lot of people that do like apartment maintenance, they got word that this stuff is really, really, really similar to R22.
Right.
So R.E. Michael can't keep his stuff on the shelf, because those apartment guys are buying this stuff like you wouldn't believe. And you know what they're doing.
Yeah, they must be dialing it up to a certain number.
They're dialing it up to a certain number because if they actually looked at the temperature pressure chart, and their gauges doesn't have it on it.
Right. Because not that they were using gauges anyway that have any refrigerants on them besides the 3.
Right. The 3. So, that's not going to be on those gauges. So, because they're using analog gauges, most of them.
Right.
With broken faces and needles bent and, there's no oil in those gauges.
No, they're always in a vacuum. It's great.
Yeah. So, Yeah, if they're using gauges, hell, some of them might just hook a hose up to it and put their hand on the line.
You know what? I have seen that a couple times where someone will just have the drum and just open the drum's valve and close it.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because you don't even know if anything's going in there once it gets going for a while and it gets cold.
Yeah, put your hand on the line, and so I think I probably would have been a better fan of the RS-44 if it would have been on the gauges. If I would have had the chart on the gauges, so I wouldn't have to look it all up and do all the figuring and all that other kind of crazy stuff. But
right.
I really, but I wanted to try something else. I could have used MO99. I won't buy another drum of it, but because I don't want to have to drive all the way over there to pick it up, right. And it would cost more. It was, about $75 more.
Really?
But I wanted to try. Yeah, it was $212, and right now I think 407C is right around 120.
With your POE oil version?
With the oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. And the funny thing about this stuff is 407 is 3 refrigerants. It's 32, 134A, and 125.
Right.
And MO99 is the same thing, except with the butane, things like butane, isobutane, whatever.
Right.
And the only difference between those two and then your RS-44 is
RS-44. I'm gonna look it up and see exactly what it is.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. I'll tell you right now.
Oh, you know what it is?
You know what? Let me do it while you're looking it up. I'll guess, and then you tell me if I'm right. RS-44 is still R125, R32, and R134A, but it's also got, I think, 2 different flammable hydrocarbon refrigerants, isobutane, butane, something like that, in a small amount, 1.8%, I think, between the both of them. And then the last refrigerant's R227. So you tell me if I'm right or not. Come on. Ooh, play the Jeopardy music.
I'm looking.
Bow, 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 da, 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 da.
Yeah, you're the guy that does that, so.
Well, don't say that. I could be wrong.
No, I'm talking about plays the music.
Oh yeah, well I can fit it in there in the edit.
Yes, you can.
Yep, I'll rip it off the internet.
I'm looking. Hold on.
Well, no, we keep on talking.
So what did you say was in it?
Damn, I'm going to go all that stuff again. Okay.
Yeah.
R125, R32, R134A. The 2 different like butanes are like 0.9% of each one of them, and then R227.
Yeah, 227, 600, R601A.
And those are your flammables.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What else is it? Was I right about the other stuff?
Yeah, every bit of it.
That's right, everybody.
Yep. 134A, 125, 32, 227EA, R600N, and R601A.
Well, there you go. It's just it starts out 407, then they keep adding stuff to it. Then you get MO99, you add the 227EA, I guess, and then you get RS44.
Yeah.
So how is RS44 better unless 227EA is some sort of magic refrigerant that separates it from the rest of them?
I had no idea. All I know is a brochure says a true drop-in replacement for R22.
Wow.
No need to replace oil or components.
Well, if the brochure said, I got a brochure on the counter from these people that drive by my house. I didn't know.
Yeah, but those people are in white shirts.
Oh, man.
And blue ties.
They're very nice and cordial.
Yes, they are.
Then he told me the world was ending. I need to get on board.
Mm-hmm. Similar discharge pressures to R22 and lower than 407C, 407A, 407F, R22D, 417B, and 427A.
Aren't you glad there's only like 50 of these things to remember?
I know. And the sad part is everybody is going to be using different drop-ins replacements, because I can't call it a drop-in, even though they call it a drop-in
Yep.
on the brochure. And I think what those apartment guys got a hold of was in their little spiel. It says that it has been, we do not recommend it, but there have been cases where this has been added on top of R22 with no damage reported.
Well, I think in other parts of, I think what they said was in other parts of the world you can do it, but you can't do it here.
Right.
Which is, it's kind of scary. I mean,
but no, you can't do it here, but guys are doing it here.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys are doing. I hear it at Johnstone counters. I mean, a lot of people buy 407, and the 407 that we have access to doesn't have oil in it, and they don't purchase oil, so they're dumping it on top of something, or at the very least, they're dumping it in there without the oil.
Right. Well, I'm kind of on the fence now about it all, because most of the time the unit is leaking. Right. And it's older. It really needs to be replaced.
This is true.
So if the unit's empty, and the people say, "Well, I don't want to replace the part. I don't have the money to replace the part." You're not going to leave their house 100 degrees.
Right? Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Want to? That's for sure. Looks like you have a moral dilemma.
Yes. Now, the government has caused us, a lot of guys, for their moral compass to be messed up. Because what do you do?
Well, you go in there and you have a certain amount of R22 left, imagining it's a small amount. If you were to take it out...
I've got a full drum of 22.
You've got a full drum of 22?
Oh, you're talking about the unit. You're talking about the unit.
I'm talking about... I'm going to cut that part out, because we didn't sound like we made any sense there.
Yeah.
And that's the show, folks. No, go ahead.
Yep. So yeah, go ahead. You were talking about it, the unit.
Okay, yeah, you walk up to a unit. It's got, let's say you're running it and you got a suction pressure like 10 or something like that. So it's very, very low.
Right.
So what do you do? If you draw the refrigerant out of it, you're basically going to be vacuuming the system and bringing moisture in through the vacuum process. So you're either going to corrupt the system worse, or do you add your stuff right on top of it? Very quietly,
well, let me tell you,
leave, never to return.
Let me tell you what I did the other day.
Okay.
And I don't know how much hell I'm going to take for this, but I will be honest with people, and I will tell you exactly what I did the other day.
Uh-oh. All right.
I have a lady out there that I've been to her house 3 years in a row. And each year that I go, her unit is almost empty. This year, her unit was lower than it's ever been. She has some R22 still left in the system. And I was walking to the truck to get my recovery cylinder and my recovery machine and all the other stuff to do what I had to do. Then I said, you know what? What the hell am I doing?
Right.
Why am I going to spend all that time to pull out the 22 to put 407C in this stupid thing? It doesn't have that much left in it. So I add it right on top of it.
Ralph, you added it right on top of it. And the question here is, of course we can't say, guys, you should all go add stuff on top of it.
No,
but the question
I'm not saying that. I am not saying that. I'm saying what I did. Am I saying it's right? No, I'm not saying it's right. Am I saying it's wrong? No, I'm not going to say it's wrong, because you know why? Because that thing is so far on its last leg. I told her at the end of the visit, I said, "It's the last time. I can't do this anymore. I can't. Your unit is this is the last time that we're going to do this ever again."
Right.
I mean, what are you going to do?
If it was me in the same situation, I would have done the same thing. I could put it out there just like you did. I would have done the same thing, because I wouldn't have left her there. You know what? I don't always follow the rules that are set out there because I'm not gonna leave anybody like that either. And if we catch hell, we can catch hell together, Ralph. Because I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I can't. Can nobody come to me and say, "Congratulations, you just killed that unit." That thing is already in the nursing home.
Yeah.
And I'm just, call me Dr. Kevorkian if you want to.
Hospice is there
You know,
already.
yes. I mean, it is when they say the unit is on its last leg, this unit is on its last leg.
Yeah. Well, here's the defense, because there's going to be some offense, I'm sure, coming at both of us. We can share now. I wanted to help you. When you take a unit that has some R22 in it and you put 407C on top of it, let's say it's 10 pounds and it's 1 pound of R22 and 9 pounds of 407C. The first thing about this unit is it's going to be leaking out. So it doesn't matter what you did. It's irrelevant.
As soon as you walk away from it, it's already low.
Yeah, it's already low and it's going to get worse. And, next time Ralph visits, it'll probably be flat. So it's irrelevant what you did. You can stand on principle, but truthfully, there's only one ending to this. The gas leaks out, and you change the system whenever the lady finally gets the money, or, it just sits there vacant of gas.
Yes.
So,
Yes. So, like I said, you can't leave the people. Her house, the downstairs was 80 something degrees, and the upstairs, one system, not zoned, just one system. So if the downstairs was 80 degrees, I didn't go upstairs to see how hot it was up there, but I'm sure it was a lot warmer than 80 degrees.
Right. Well, I went to a call where the lady was crying the other day. She was crying, and I went into the house, and and not that she was a basket case. It was just 80 some degrees in her house, and she was just at the end of her rope. So I got there, and she had a Nordyne. It's a trailer. She had a Nordyne system with a Nordyne coil. It wasn't Mortex. It was one of those single row Nordyne deals that they used to make that leak like a sieve. And I went out there, and I took a look at the unit, and the unit would start, or the compressor wouldn't start, but the fan motor would. And it ended up being a burned-off wire, and I did not have any of the term lock kits, which I like to use. And I said, well, you know what, I don't know if they're going to have any or not. I like these term lock kits, but, it was past 4 o'clock. I had to go back into Wilmington, and it was basically getting onto rush hour. So it was, hit or miss whether I was going to make it back in time. So I actually did and came back, and she was very grateful. And you'll get a kick out of this. The bill for it, I charged her $192.50 to make the repair, and she gave me a $60 tip on top of that for coming back. I had never got anything like that in my life. I've gotten like $10, cookies or something like that, but never $60. So
that's cool. I mean,
it
shows they appreciated you.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thrilled about going back into town and coming back because it was going to be a pain. But, I needed to do it. Just like what you did is something you needed to do. If she was out of refrigerant and there was 5 PSI, 10 PSI standing of R22, floop, the 407C would have gone right in there without a second thought.
Because I don't think even if you recover all the refrigerant out of the system, there's still R22 left in that. Still in the oil.
Yeah.
Because how many times have you recovered? Yeah, especially on a heat pump, and that's what this was. How many times you've recovered refrigerant and your compressor have ice on it, or your accumulator have ice on it?
Sure, yeah.
It still has, and how many times have you unsweated something, and as soon as you popped it loose, poof.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that? Because it still has refrigerant in it.
Yeah, that's right. A little pocket of gas came out and scared the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll sit open, and you get a little puff when it's open. It scared the crap out of you.
Yes. Yeah. I had one time. I was unsweating the accumulator.
Oh, you're right at the source.
And it was actually I was unsweating the compressor, and there was still some pressure in there. And when it unsweated oil,
flamethrower,
it went everywhere.
Oh,
I'm surprised I didn't get majorly burnt.
Oh.
I mean, it was awful.
Well, I don't want to get off track talking service calls because we were talking about the retrofits, but at a different podcast, I'll tell you all the story of the carrier unit I worked on where it grounded out in front of me, and I'll explain it at a later time. It's worth hearing now. But we're talking about retrofits.
Sounds like it. Mm.
Oh yeah, it was some day, that's for sure.
Yeah. So as far as retrofits go, I have changed my my thought on it because the cost has made me change my way of thinking on it.
Right. It's made it imperative that you at least consider using them.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. They're out there. They've been used for a long time. You have units like Liebert,
Right.
York is using 407C.
Sure. Yeah.
Liebert, if Liebert can use it with no problem at all, and you know what they have to control,
Sure.
or what they have to cool.
They chose to do it. They chose it over 410A, I guess.
Right. So if they can use it with no problem at all, we're talking about an air conditioner that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with using it.
Is that what you're going to use then? 407C with the BMP one?
Yeah. As long as I can get my hands on it, and if not, I will use whatever they have.
Whatever Ed sells.
Whatever Ed sells, and the reason why is because majority of the time, I'm working in this area, and the guys are buying from Ed's.
Right.
So if the guys are buying 407C, if Ed sells it, they sell MO99 in 407C.
Well, if 407 goes away, MO99 is just a stone's throw away from being 407 anyway. I mean, I'd use that.
Yeah. So I should have, instead of going to Ari Michael and buying that stuff, the RS44B, I should have just got the MO99 because Ed's was out of the 407C.
Well, you were hyped up because you heard about it, and it's the best thing since sliced bread, so you want to go check it out.
Yeah, so I wanted to try it out, but sometimes you just you make mistakes.
Right, and it wasn't like you said, it wasn't the refrigerant's fault. It was just the fact that the PT stuff wasn't on your gauges.
Right. And I was like, when you're out there in the field and you're working, you want to cut out as many steps you possibly can. Still doing the job right, but you want to cut the, if you don't have to look it up, why would you want to?
No, you're right. So it's nice to
that's
have
fine.
the tools. Everybody's talking tools now, with the advantages. But yeah, you're right. Digital gauges, even for the younger people, are good. There's some basic digital gauges out there, that'll give you a good understanding of what you're working with, like your testos you're talking about. So
yeah, the testos. I mean, they're like $2.99, and they're a workhorse. I don't leave mine in the case. Mine's hanging up in the truck.
yeah.
I try to hang them from the unit, but sometimes they might fall on the ground.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And
My gauge is always hung up in the truck, banging on everything.
Yeah. Although my last set, I was washing the condenser, and they got a little wet, and they don't work anymore. So
you didn't ruin the German ones, did you?
No, actually, they might have been the German ones. I got 3 sets, but
You must
one of
like
them doesn't
them.
work.
You must like them if you have 3
Yeah,
sets.
I keep buying them.
Yeah, it's probably the most popular gauge set. I don't know if S-Man might be too, but I mean, Testo
No,
550.
S-Man is up there.
Yeah, because there's a lot of S-Man 3s out there, and
Yeah.
these new S-Man, 400s and 300 series ones. There's a lot of those floating around.
Yeah, I don't understand why guys buy the. What's the next step up from the 550s?
557.
Yeah, that's a four port, right?
Yeah, they had a little vacuum hose on them, I think. I don't know if that's the only difference.
Yeah, I don't
know.
I don't know why guys buy those. I mean, I just don't know. They're well, I put my vacuum to them, but I think it's a waste of money to buy them. But
they're more
I think they
expensive
do
than the
trend and stuff
570s
like
are
that.
pretty expensive.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't understand why if all you're doing is putting Freon in a unit, why spend the extra money for them?
I do not know. I don't think. Well, in today's climate, when there's so many tools available that do all this trending and reporting and stuff like that, if they want something along those lines, there's so many more tools that are better than that.
Right.
So another app does that too.
Yeah, the app does it, and you have Sporlan that does all that stuff too.
Yeah, we'll be testing out the old Pro R tool here shortly.
Yeah, I know.
See what it's like. It's still in the box right now, so we're gonna see
got
what
mine.
happens.
I got mine. I was the first guy in the country to get his. I got mine last year.
Well, if you should make a video and show you using it. Now, the Sporlan people would really appreciate that, being a proud sponsor of the Cowboys podcast.
I know. They they actually, I went. I don't know if very many people know, but I did go to Sporlan and take a tour of their factory last year.
Well, I didn't know that. Did you tell me that? You might have.
Yeah, I think I did.
Well.
Yeah, I went. We had a lot of stuff going right at the time that I left. My father-in-law had passed away right then, and then a week later, after I came back, me and my ex, parted ways.
Right.
And so I just, hadn't used them.
So you've had them for
a year. I've had them for almost a year, and I haven't used them.
I say, are they in the box still?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Well, you gotta check them out at least. I mean, I know it's not really dramatically different than what you already had, except for the distance. I'm looking forward to seeing what the features are different, because I had the Smart Tool before, so I'm looking forward to seeing it, because I know they take a beating. That's like their claim to fame. They're more rugged than everything else.
Yeah, they're rugged, and now they got the I just, like I said, I had them and I got them when I went on that tour. It was Sporlan treated me really well when I went up there. We went to a Cardinals game and I got to meet everybody there. It was an interesting trip.
Well, that's pretty cool. We could probably fill up a whole other podcast with your trip to Sporlan. Ralph's been everywhere.
Yeah.
He's seen ICPs. He's seen Goodman Factory. He's seen Sporlan. He's friends with Sporlan. I'm friends with Sporlan too now, Ralph. I got you.
Oh yeah.
We're Sporlan and me, just like this.
Hey.
So full of crap.
But now we actually I became with one of the sales guys. Really good friends with one of the sales guys.
Right.
And the national sales manager. So he's the one that hooked the trip up for me.
What was his first name?
Dave.
Dave. Okay. The guy I'm talking to is named Dennis.
Dennis?
Yeah, Dennis.
Dave is the national sales manager. Actually, Dave Thomas is his name.
Oh, so it's Wendy's.
Just like the founder of Wendy's.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
nice.
They're all the guys at Sporlan are super great. I mean, they're every one of them's nice as they could be.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
I'm blown away that the Sporlan guys will actually work with someone like me and John on our podcast. Someone that's like that tiny, and Sporlan's like, yeah, sure, this is great. And we're like, yeah, really? And it's a great.
Yeah, they're Sporlan's a good group of people, and that was another reason that I was pushing a Smart Tool last year, because they just really they go above and beyond. They're not a huge company. I mean, they are when you include Parker. They're multinational company, but multi-billion-dollar a year company, but Sporlan there in St. Louis, they're just a great group of guys.
Well, I think the cool thing about Sporlan is that you go back 5 or 6 years, and there's a bunch of TXVs and dryers and parts and stuff, and now Sporlan is the ZoomLock and the
Oh
smart
yeah,
tool. So that's the big
the
thing now.
ZoomLock. Yeah, the ZoomLock is people. When I went to their factory, they have a lab set up for refrigeration stuff. It's almost like a supermarket sitting there
Right.
in their lab, and everything that's done, you won't find a braze joint there. It's all done in ZoomLock.
And when this was a year back.
This was a year back, yeah. And I got to go in there where they did the testing for the 2,500 pound testing,
Right,
and
for the
I saw
fittings.
where for the fittings, and I saw where they did the testing for those in the lab, and it was 2,500 pounds, and the pipe burst before the fitting did.
Oh, interesting. The
So
copper actually ruptured.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, 2,500 pounds of copper ruptured before the fitting did. Now they had a major issue, and you're gonna like this. They had a major issue with a ZoomLock on one of the projects that a company was doing. And of course, when the company has a problem like that, it was a major issue. And of course, the guy was complaining and bitching and whining and moaning, blah 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 blah. So Sporlan sent a guy to the project because of course they're on the line. Their butts in a sling there if they don't get it fixed.
Right.
It's a multi-million-dollar project. So they go and they cut one of the fittings out, and they find out after they cut it apart that the copper was all jagged. And so they was like, what?
Oh my God!
It's
How were
not the
they
fittings
cutting the
fault.
copper, Ralph? How were they cutting
They
it?
were with a hacksaw.
Well, I'm so glad I was sitting here and listening to the story. I was like, well, you know what? Spoiler's been so good to us. I hope we don't have a podcast that highlights a huge failure in their new system. So they were cutting it off with a
So
hack, like plumbers sitting there cutting off their pipes.
they were cutting the fitting of the copper with a hacksaw.
Oh my gosh! So of course it was
And
tearing up, I
so
guess, whatever gaskets they have on the inside.
yes.
Oh
So
my
they had
gosh!
leaks. They had leaks all over this, in the walls and all this other kind of crazy stuff. Because the guy was cutting it with a hacksaw.
You know what the bad part is? The
One,
spoiling guy's got to go out there and say, "Hey, man, this is obviously wrong, but still, you got this huge project where they're having all these issues. So even though it wasn't their fault, it's probably still getting them a bunch of bad press. That's bad."
yeah,
Oh,
and how do you combat that?
you can't, because the
It's just like
contractor's probably going
online.
to say it's not their fault.
Yeah. But when you cut it with a hacksaw, we've been cutting copper with a hacksaw for 25 years.
The age-old excuse. I've been doing it for fill in the blank.
Yeah, I've been doing this shit for 30 years, and you can't tell me I'm doing it wrong.
Oh my god!
It's been working all these years.
I feel bad about when they decided to work with us. I was thinking, man, it would be nice to test out the ZoomLock. But I thought about it. I said, I don't ever see where I would use it. So I mean,
No, you can't say that because
that's.
ask Brent. Brent uses the ZoomLock on everything.
But he does installs, is what I'm saying. I don't do any installs.
Yeah. He does installs, and he cuts the bell off the valve, and he cuts the bell off the coils, and he uses ZoomLock on everything.
I've seen his picture. He really loves it. He thinks it's great.
Oh yeah, and he's like, I can't remember the last time he used my oxygen settling.
Wow. See, I'd have to use it because of the service aspects of it. There's certain things you can't Zoomlock. I'm assuming. I don't have one, and I'm assuming the tool is large looking, so I wouldn't be able to fit it everywhere I wanted.
Well, no, don't say that, because if Brent can do it on a condenser, cutting the bell off, and there's not that much room in after you cut that bell off, there's not a whole lot of room left.
All right, I hear what you're saying. So therefore, Monday morning, I'm going to send a message to the spoiling guy, say, hey, bring me a ZoomLock so I can test it out doing service. and since they are what, like a couple $100 times 15.
Yeah.
But it would be fun to use it, because at first I was like, what is this hinky stuff that you're not going to braze anymore? But now, guys like Brent are stand-up guys. So if they say something works, I trust it,
Yeah. Brent's the type of guy, if you get a guy calling you on the phone and saying, hey, I can't get to this job. Can you go over and do it for me? I've already been over there, and it's this, and this. Brent's the type of guy that if he says it, it's pretty much, you can trust that's what's wrong. But there's many times when a guy, you might want to double check that that's really what the problem was. Because just because we sit behind the steering wheel of a heat and air truck doesn't make us all equal.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, since you've been on YouTube for a long time, evidently, I mean, this will prove that you're still alive. Ralph did say he was going to make a video someday, and we've been on YouTube for a while. I don't want to fire you up defending your video absence. I forgot what I was going to say. Actually, no, I was going to say that. Stick around next week for the final part of the interview with Mr. Ralph Wolf on the Working Joe's podcast.